the thing is, if you're in a flop era, quote unquote, it means that you have eras. I think it's in a roundabout way, it's a compliment.
I want to start off by talking about, I mean, I think we have this like undying obsession with labeling things. And I think there's been a lot of, I've just seen a number of times where the Nowhere In is referred to as a mockumentary. We're calling it a mockumentary. And I wondered what that means to you. Does that feel like an apt descriptor, at least in what you were going for when this idea was being kicked around?
I'm not totally sure what to call this movie except bananas. I mean, I've also heard metadoc, which that sounds a little less fun than mockumentary, but mockumentary doesn't really do it either. I mean, basically, it's a fill in the blank. I have no idea. It's it's a movie, a scripted film that I made with my best friend and my really good friend Bill Benz that is a rumination on the hilarity and pitfalls of the idea of rock star.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to talk about, I'm really fascinated by the fact that, of course, this premiered at Sundance in 2020. The world has changed a number of ways since then. You know, this film explores kind of this moment in time with your Masseduction album and your tour in support of that. Now, here we are, you're about to embark on your tour in support of Daddy's Home. And so I'm curious if your relationship to this movie has changed or what it means to you has changed in that time.
Gosh, this movie to me still definitely feels really relevant in terms of things that I think about the performance of identity or again, the ways in which people can unwittingly become just absolute slaves to their own narcissism and end up doing terrible things to people they love in service of their own ego. So that is definitely really relevant and definitely one of those things that I'm very wary of. But I think it'll be really fun to kind of go out and perform this Daddy's Home material with the Nowhere In kind of in the world.
Mm-hmm. I think because every detail of this film feels so intentional and purposeful, I did want to call out the very specific placement of the Art of Cruelty in those opening scenes, which you're reading in the limo.
I love Maggie Nelson, and I love that book. And that book definitely, some of the ideas in that book definitely influenced the writing of the Nowhere In.
I was going to say, I mean, how much of it is that book almost like the key to unlocking the truth that you want to get at with this film?
You know what, Cameron? I'm going to say yes.
Yeah,
because I think that book should be required reading for everybody.
So I know one thing I know that she says in that book is just that, like, you know, when I'm totally paraphrasing here, so I'm sorry, but I know what she says basically, like, when art is going well, we're not really, I'm sorry. When things are going well, we're not really learning anything from the art that comes of it. So, I mean, do you agree with that sentiment? I guess I'm curious if it's like, do you feel more productive in times of sorrow or this agony or pain?
I think it's not necessary to hurl yourself into pain in order to write. I think that that poetic idea of pain equaling good art is very flawed. It absolutely happens, but it's not necessarily causational in the same way. Because you can be in a lot of pain and make terrible art, you know? Been there. So it's not exactly causal like that, but I do think, I mean, in the way that all things are so deeply interconnected culturally and politically and the ideas that we're wrestling with in the time are going to get exercised through the art that people make, wrestled with. That's the point, I think, is I think for art to either be like dangerous and buck up against prevailing narratives, or, you know, just thrash it all around and figure out what we really think, and what the like true kind of human heartbeat is in all of it.
I was going to say, I kind of drew a line between what I was terribly misquoting, paraphrasing from The Art of Cruelty to something that Carrie mentions early on in the film. She says, like, she's like telling you, she's like, I'm in this era of failure. She's like, to use the internet's favorite term, she's like, I'm in this flop era right now. And I mean, I'm curious, what does that even mean to you, to be in a flop era? I mean, is this something that only these insane fans online think of, or is that something that you, as like someone that makes art, is conscious of and wanting to avoid?
Well, the thing is, if you're in a flop era, quote unquote, it means that you have eras. It means that you've been around long enough and are making things that are relevant enough to still be part of the conversation, to where people can call them flops or whatever. And there's also sort of a supposition in there that there will be a next era. Oh, you might be in your flop era, and I think it's in a roundabout way, it's a compliment.
So, as a final note, because I'm sure I'm almost out of time, I did just want to ask about Dakota Johnson, because she's so very funny in this, and I think she always is very, very funny. And I'm glad that we're able to showcase that side of her here.
Bless her heart for doing this. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. I mean, I think we both had fun with our like identity in this. It's, I mean, to be like, hey DJ, just gonna need you to show up in lingerie for the shoot. You don't mind, right? Like, she was way more comfortable in lingerie than I was.
I guess 50 Shades will do that to you. I mean, exactly. I can't.
She's had some practice.
She's weird. You don't see that?
I don't really see it at all.
Hi, Carrie. We want you to film us. I need more say in how other people are going to act. It's a documentary. Then let's only document things I can control. This is my story. I'm here at the Also, this is the only item I'll be selling at my shows.